This is my grandfather's old Selmer Maccaferri guitar, made in Paris. It's number 647. I had a look in the Francois Charles book years ago, and they're all catalogued, but for 647 was blank. So I don't know what that means, but here it is if anyone's looking for it. It's an unusual guitar. I had that book and it told you all about how the things were made, and what I gather from it is that towards the end of the sort of being involved in the guitar business, Selmer had loads of bits left over and they started sticking them together and making guitars out of them, and I suspect that this is one of them because the number 647 is quite late, but the spec of this instrument is pretty unusual. It's a round hole. That in itself is quite unusual. Top, European spruce. It's got the sort of bend in it that a Selmer guitar has. I measured this top a few years ago to see how thick the top was, and it was 1.4 millimeters, so it's thin. And I think that is what helps make it so loud. It's got this beautiful rosette of black lines, white lines, which are sort of a gold colour, green lines and red lines. It's really nice. There's been a few repairs done to the top, but they were all done prior to when I first saw the guitar. I first saw the guitar in the early 80s. My grandfather bought it in the 1960s. So these repairs whilst they're not invisible, are clearly solid. The back and sides, it's a laminate of Indian rosewood on the outside, really nice Indian rosewood on the outside, and it's a mahogany on the inside. The scale length, it's 660 millimeters, which is about 26 inch. So it's the longer scale that you get on Selmer guitars. It's a 14 fret of the joint, 14 fret joint, but it actually, because I think of the body size, it really puts the bridge in what we call the sweet spot. I don't know much about the Django players, but I know in the sort of guitars that I make, when you've got a longer scale, it really suits the chord players. When you've got a shorter scale, which some of the Selmers are short, that tends to suit the soloists. But you get that sort of resonance and ring when you've got this long scale, which I really like. The neck, I believe that's walnut. It's a flame figure, walnut, the neck, and the head looks like solid Indian rosewood to me. And the ebony veneer, of course, has the beautiful Selmer logo, Henry Selmer of Paris, engraved on it. The tuners, I think these were common replacements. They've got SB written on them, which I think is Salvador Bilardi or something like that. I seem to remember that from the book. And it may well be that this guitar had the cutaway put in afterwards, because it's elegant. There's this ebony nose on the end of the cutaway, and you can see a couple of little joins in the purfling. Now it may well be, I think there was an English lad of Italian descent called Marco, is it Roccia or Rossia, or I don't know how you pronounce it. It's spelled Roccia, I think. He's known for doing lots of work on these guitars and for putting cutaways in, for replacing soundboards if they needed that, for fixing them. And it looks to me like this. It may have been done by Selmer when they were putting the thing together, using the bits up. But it's definitely the same rosewood here as it is there. But I think that cutaway has been put in after. Original tailpiece. There's no issues with the guitar. There's a little bit of deformation here, but that's fine. It's not changed in the 30 odd years I've been looking at the guitar. It's just a nice, clean, well looked after original Selmer. They're great. They are. This was my grandfather's guitar. He bought it in the 1960s from a fella in the south of England. He used to take it to the accordion club and play along with the old fellas, play the old tunes. And Charlie died in 2000 he died. So me and my brother got the guitar then. I'm in Australia now. My brother doesn't play guitar. I don't play that much guitar anymore. So I've had it 20 years since he died, and it's time for it to go. Time for it to move on, because it's not being played, and it's a waste. It's a magnificent instrument. It's an unusual one, but somebody should be playing it. And Charlie would have preferred it to be played than just sitting in somebody's spare room. It's not one of the standard models. It's an unusual guitar, but it's great. I mean, I've played a few Selmer copies made by, good makers, and they're nice. They're really nice guitars, but they're not the real thing. This is the real thing. And if you want that sound, it's got it. It really has. You can't play anything else on it. As soon as you might try and play, I don't know, country or something, but it doesn't sound right. But as soon as you start playing, it sounds right. So it's great. Let's get the tape measure out. The body is 14 and a half inches wide. That's 370 millimeters. And the body length, 18 and 3/4 inch, 477 millimeters. The depth, it's a hair over 100 millimeters at the tail, and at the neck it's 90 millimeters. The nut width is 45 millimeters, which is 1 3/4 inches. So there we go. If you'd like to buy the guitar, you can contact. The easiest thing to do is to contact us through the website. There's a link below. You can find us, tell us you want to buy it, and we'll sort it out. I'll ship worldwide. It'll come in a Hiscox case, and that will come well packed. And yeah, it can be yours.